Welcome back to BVarsity Live. Zach Ewing and Trevor Horn here with you at the California's downtown I Street offices. We had that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
That was.
We had to get those soccer teams out of here because they had have games this evening. But BHS boys and Frontier girls both 3-time defending league champions. I don't think that there is in the SWIL another sport where you can say maybe Stockdale tennis would be the other one I would say has won that many league championships in a row. But I don't think it happens very often. It's tough to do in that league in any sport.
I think it's tough to do it, yeah, especially in that league because you got so many good schools in there and well-rounded. Yeah, definitely.
Centennial girls basketball's won a couple now, but they will not win this year because of they've been swept by Garces now. Yep. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do, and so Archie Parks and his BHS Drillers boys soccer and Max Blumel and his Frontier girls soccer teams deserve a heck of a lot of credit. So soccer, here's the schedule. Here's where we're at. This is one of those exciting times a year for high school sports because the soccer regular season ends tomorrow.
Yep.
Tonight for some teams, tomorrow for others. The seeding will come out Saturday for Central Section playoffs, and those begin Tuesday. And they'll go for 2 weeks. So you're looking at Valley finals at the end of the month, February 26th and 27th, basically. And then basketball has another week to go of regular season. So we're still wrapping up some league titles and that sort of thing.
Yep, and that all ends on Wednesday because the section didn't want the teams scheduled on Thursday to play because they wanted to start working on the seedings.
Yeah. Now, I believe there are still a few games Thursday, if I looked at the schedule correctly, unless they've been moved. But anyway, everything will be done by next Thursday, a week from today in basketball. And then seedings will come out a week from Saturday in basketball. That's the 21st, and then we'll go all the way up to March 6th and 7th at Selland Arena for the in Fresno for the section championships in basketball. And then at the same time, you've got wrestling. Mm-hmm. And in wrestling, the postseason actually starts today. In fact, if I got an update here, at the South Yosemite League Championships, which are going on right now at East High, Steve Lynch is on the scene for BVarsity, and he just told me that Golden Valley is the team champion, so congratulations to the Bulldogs. I think that's their first championship in that new version of the SYL in any sport, so they get that done. Actually, their boys soccer team may actually be league champion as well.
And then I know I saw a tweet earlier from Jacob Lopez. He's excited about being a 4-time league champ.
And Ridgeview with Jacob Lopez finished second in the team race. Mm-hmm. So that's today. Tonight I'll be in McFarland for the SSL championships. McFarland is an SSL team in wrestling. And I believe Wasco was the regular season champion there. They've won that league several years in a row.
Are you going to jog to McFarland?
I will not.
Okay.
I will not with a headache, no. I'm probably going to drive.
Is that a really bad cross-country joke?
Hey, I would think that the teams in McFarland would like to be known for something other than cross country, except for the cross country teams. And they've got two pretty good boys and girls basketball teams, by the way, up there.
Yes, they do.
So that's tonight, and then tomorrow you're going to try to pull the doubleheader. We're going to see if it's possible. SEYL is at South, and they're looking at like a late afternoon, like 5:30 final start, and then we're looking at like a 7 or 7:30 final start for the SWIL up at Frontier. Mm-hmm. And if you can't do it, I'll run over to the SWIL, but I'm going to try to go to Cal State baseball season opener tomorrow night. And so that's all kind of happening at the same time. But anyway, so those teams will go on from there to the divisional championships next Friday and Saturday. Big schools go to Lemoore, small schools go to Liberty, Madera Ranchos, and the qualifiers from there go on to the Masters, which is February 28th back here in Bakersfield at East High. And then, of course, staying in Bakersfield for the state finals for the, is it the 12th year, 11th year, I believe, at Rabobank Arena of the CIF State Wrestling Championships, March 6th and 7th. You're probably going to head north to the basketball while I'm in Rabobank for the wrestling state championships that weekend. So that's a big one. So we've kind of got this 3-week sprint to the finish line here in winter sports. And in the meantime, spring sports will start up as well. But we'll focus on the winter ones to the end. What are you most looking forward to, Trevor? I think, is it the Garces girls and how far they could go in Division I?
It is, just because that would be the biggest story because they have the best chance to make a deep run in the state level. But it's still kind of, I want to see what Ridgeview boys do. I want to see how good Independence girls can do in the playoffs. And then even the Centennial boys, if they still got a tough 3-game stretch to finish out league, which includes Bakersfield tonight, which is a big one. You got to figure, if they keep winning, where do they line up with Clovis West, with Clovis North, with Edison, in the D1 bracket and how good they can be.
Absolutely. Your SWIL boys basketball standings right now, we have Centennial at 7-0. Bakersfield and Liberty are both 5-2, and then I think Stockdale's at 3-4, but they're essentially eliminated. They are eliminated from winning a league title. But
they had the big win against Liberty. Which
Yeah.
made tonight's game between Centennial and Bakersfield so much bigger, because it's like, wow, here are the Drillers, a team that has kind of been built as the season goes on.
Yeah, 5-2, and you look at their losses. They lost to Centennial by 3 points. They lost to Liberty by 8 points. So I mean, they're close games. Now, having said that, if they were to win the section, they have a loss to Buchanan. I'm sorry, if they were to win the league, they have a loss to Buchanan that's going to hurt their seeding. It'd be a really interesting seeding case. Now, them winning the league is going to require a heck of a lot of help, because first of all, they're 5-2. Their last 3 games are against Centennial, against Stockdale, and against Liberty.
Yep.
So they're going to have to sweep those 3 teams, which is really difficult. And then they're going to have to hope Centennial also loses somewhere else, maybe to Liberty on Tuesday, in order to win the league. So it's a tough road for the Drillers, but they're still in it. Centennial, obviously, a 2-game lead, 3 to go. They could actually clinch the league championship tonight if they beat BHS and if Garces were to upset Liberty. And that they would clinch the title. Now,
and I don't want... Garces only lost by 3 points to Centennial on Tuesday night.
Garces is 0-7, but they played a lot of close games. So Liberty needs to win basically to ensure that game on Tuesday still means something. And they can get to the point where if they get some help from BHS, Liberty could still win the title with a sweep next week if they could beat Garces.
I think another thing you were asking me early on, what kind of intrigues me, and if you go outside of those 2 sports, going to wrestling, I want to see how good Jared Snyder, the heavyweight from Frontier, and how deep he can go.
Well, and I was going to say, just from a more overarching perspective too, BHS, such a great wrestling program, but they've fallen behind Clovis in recent years, and who hasn't? I mean, Clovis is number 4 in the nation. And then you got a team like Buchanan that's come up, and they're now right around 10 or 11 in the nation, and BHS is number 27 in the nation.
Right.
I could be off by a couple of spots there.
They're obviously 1, 2, 3 in the section, and I think 1, 2, 6 in the state, I believe, with the Drillers coming in 6th. And Clovis obviously being number 1.
Can BHS such a great program? I mean, on the right weekend, if they spring a couple of upsets, if Clovis has a bad weekend, I mean, could they threaten for a section title? This is a team in BHS that won the state title 5 years ago, or 4 years ago, in 2011, actually, and Clovis has won it 3 straight years since then. But that year that BHS won the state title in 2011, they didn't even win the section title. They haven't won a section title in 10 years because it's been the Clovis show. And Clovis, again, is a heavy favorite, but can BHS break through? Can they do it? They've got. I would say this is the first time in a long time BHS has been certifiably strong in every weight class. Having a guy who could qualify for state in every weight class doesn't mean it will happen, but in years past they've had sort of a couple of weight classes where you go, that guy's going to have to spring several upsets to get there. But if you look from 106, Isaac Olenek, the freshman, all the way up to heavyweight with Angel De La Torre, they have a legitimate threat to qualify for state. And that's what you got to do. You get all 14 guys there, you get 13 guys there, and then have them all win a couple of matches, and that's how you stay in it late in the state championship run. So that'll be interesting to see for BHS. And as we mentioned, girls basketball, Garces, how far can they go in D1? Will they get the 1 seed over Clovis West? That's another argument too.
I think the biggest thing that's going to be the detriment to Garces is the depth of the bench. They only have 4 players on the bench, and they only had 3 in the second half against Centennial when Riley Tucker couldn't come back after halftime, and so they were playing with 8 players. So I think that's the biggest thing is the best thing going for Garces to make a deep run, one, is to not go into the open. That's an obvious statement right there. Open division, because you put that in there, and you're talking about the top 6 teams in Southern California, or maybe the top 8, depending. They've never, in the 2 years of the Open, they've never had more than 6 teams go from Southern California, because, as you know, the Southern section only has 4 teams maximum that can go. So if their biggest thing is not going to the Open, staying in D1, not getting in foul trouble because you don't have the depth in the bench to be able to do it. They've the talent.
Done a pretty good job of staying out of foul trouble, but they also haven't faced teams with really gigantic front lines either.
And then they need to do what they did Tuesday night, and that's to shoot well from the outside, because CJ West is going to get double teamed in every game you play. And they need to shoot well, which they did Tuesday night against Centennial with 10 3-pointers. If they can do that and play a great inside-outside game, you could see a good running, but you still got to go through Clovis West. You still got to see Centennial possibly again in the playoffs, and neither of those are an easy task.
Yeah, from a Garces perspective, it's really a shame they're not in Division II one more year, because this is a team that could legitimately win a Division II state championship.
I don't actually think the difference between D1 and D2 is much of a difference.
Really?
Because there are the top-heavy teams in D1, like Mater Dei and Long Beach Poly,
that are going to go open.
Are going to go up into the open. So I think the argument there is kind of null and void in my viewpoint.
Okay.
I think D2 and D1 are basically the same.
Okay, well, if that's true and Garces does not get bumped up to open, which if they win the section title, they very well might, they have a chance. Now, here's a question. Is it better for them, and we'll go to break in a minute, but is it better for Garces, this is going to sound weird, from a state championships perspective, to lose to Clovis West in a section final, so that Clovis West is the team bumped up to open, and then Garces can focus on D1 I'm sure none of the girls would want to do that.
No, of course not. But that is a scenario that I've been thinking about in my own head, is for the simple fact, because there's got to be the factor that they've been to 3 regional playoff games in the last 3 years, criteria.
But so is Clovis West.
Yep. They're right outside, and Clovis West went to the open last year.
Right.
They're right outside the top 10 in Max Preps and Cal High rankings. I don't think they'll break into the top 10 anytime. But
the point is, I don't think both teams are going to go to the open.
No, there's no way.
Now, having said that...
No, because you have to be a section champion to go into the open.
Okay. Really? Because a couple of years ago, and maybe this rule has changed, but a couple of years ago, Stockdale lost to Clovis West in the D1 final. And Stockdale was sent up to open as sort of a sacrificial lamb, and I don't know the conversations that went on behind the scenes, but you wonder if Jim Critchell in the Central Section said, hey, put Stockdale in the open and give Clovis West a chance at making a run in D1. Could they do the same thing? Maybe.
Yeah.
Where the loser of that D1 game
I just don't want to see a
team
team with only 8 players or 9 players, depending if Riley's healthy. I don't want to see a team like that just get obliterated in the open because they just don't have the strength in numbers.
Yeah, I agree. Well, hey, we got to take our last break. We're going to be back at Trevor's section basketball rankings. We'll go through those when we come back, and we'll dig a little bit more into possible seeding scenarios for the section basketball playoffs in boys and girls as well when we come back on BVarsity Live right after this.
Welcome, everyone.